Greetings, this is Spec Ops 56 and my faithful Indian companion John Toe, coming to you from Homebrewing Central, otherwise known as my kitchen. Today, what we're going to do, since we've had some success in homebrewing our own beer, decided to try our hand at homebrewing our own hard cider. And what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to make an apple peach cider. And here's what we're going to do. First, I got this unfiltered, organic, nothing added, pasteurized apple juice. 1 gallon. We're going to make a 1 gallon batch. And that's what we're going to use for the base. We're going to be adding about a pound of honey, and this is 4 pretty much overripe peaches that we'll be adding. And first thing we've got to do is, because I'm going to be using this jug as the fermenter, primary fermenter, we're going to be transferring the juice from here to here temporarily, so that I can go ahead and clean the solids out of here, clean it out, and sanitize it. And then we'll be putting the juice back in along with the other ingredients. I've got a little leftover yeast from one of my other brewing projects, and I'll be using about half of this package for the hard cider. So we're going to go ahead and do the transfer of the juice and get everything ready. And when we got that done, we'll come back. Okay, well, we've transferred the juice into this container and filtered out the solids. I've cleaned and sanitized the jug that we're using as the fermenter. Our next step is going to be to put the pieces of peach into the jug. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mix the honey with a little bit of the juice to make it easier to flow, and we're going to pour that in there on top of it. Then we'll pour the juice in here till we're probably right about that level to give it some headroom. So we're going to do that now, and we'll come back when that's done. Alright, we've put the peach chunks in here, and then I took some of the juice, put it in that little jug of about a pound of honey, shook it up real good so that it would flow better, and poured it in here on top of the peaches. Our next step is going to be to go ahead and pour the rest of the juice in here up to the proper level. And then we're going to take it, we're going to give it a good vigorous shake so that it helps to aerate it, get some oxygen in there. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to test the original gravity, just like we do when we're brewing beer. And then the last step is going to be to pitch the yeast, and then we'll shake it up again. So right now I'm going to go ahead and pour this in here. I just wanted you to see, what we did here with the honey and the peach. I did misspeak earlier when I said we were going to put it in a blender. Then I got to thinking about what JP told me about how to make this. JP from the brew house, and I remember he said just put the chunks in there, and so we're skipping the blending part. So let me get my funnel out of here. Another thing that I want to mention is to make sure, just like when you're brewing beer, brewing anything, you want to make sure everything is clean and sanitized. Just sanitize everything that's going to be possibly touching the juice. So, so you don't have to sit here and watch me take the time to do this. We're going to cut now, and we'll be right back when we're ready for the next step. Alright, well, as you can see, we poured in the apple juice because of the volume of of the honey and the peaches. You can see we have some left over for breakfast. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this. You can see about how much headroom we've got here, so the CO2 gases can expand. And now we're going to aerate. All right. Now, the next step is I'm going to take a sample so we can check our original gravity. All right, now I got my sample tube here. And got my turkey baster. Everything's been sanitized. Alright. And I sanitized all this because I intend to pour this back in here after I'm done with the sample. Normally with the beer, you know, it's a big enough volume that I won't miss a little bit of the sample, because this is just a small 1 gallon batch. I don't want to lose any of it. I think that ought to be enough. Now, probably need John to come over here to read this, just because it's such small numbers. And let's see, in fact, let me put this out of the way. I'll move this over here to the light so we can get this on camera. It's always hard to get the proper scale pointed towards you. Alright. Okay, what are you reading there, John? Zoom in on it. You can probably see it, read it better in the viewfinder. What do you see?
Looks like 60.
Okay, well that would be 1060.
Wait a minute.
Make sure, double check.
No, 80.
1080.
1080.
1080. Okay. Then that means we're probably going to have a fairly high alcohol content when we're done here, but I'm not surprised because all the fermentable sugars in here. We'll wait and see. All right. Back in the sanitizer. And pour this back in here. If I hadn't sanitized both the tube, the baster, and the meter, I would not have poured that back in there. Now we peach the yeast. As I understand it, pretty much any old yeast will do for making cider. Ale yeasts are good. Some people use champagne yeasts. Some people just use regular baker's, brewer's yeast you get at the store. But I have this left over, so that's what I'm going to do. This is a general purpose ale yeast. Trying to use about half of this, because the other half I plan to use in another batch of beer that I'm going to make especially for Hophead John. That's probably it right there. Plenty for this size batch. And now we give it another shake. You want to have plenty of oxygen in there for the yeast, because yeast is a living organism and it needs oxygen just like we do. Alright. next step. Put the bung in. Man, I thought this was going to work. Huh. Houston, we have a problem. Damn. This was unexpected. I'm not exactly sure what to do now.
To the Batmobile. Let's go. Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed. Here, ready to move out.
Welcome back. Well, this is what you get when you watch my videos. A real reality show. We took a quick trip down to the brew house to see JP. Got a smaller bung, and when he put it in there, it stayed. We got home, we put it in there, and it did exactly what the other one did. Started popping up. So John came up with a temporary fix with some cable ties to hold this in here, and I think that's going to work. We've made, using one of these three-piece airlocks, we've made a blow-off tube which goes into this half-gallon jug of star sand, so that when the fermentation gets really vigorous, instead of blowing off all over the place, it'll blow off into here if it does. This works just like an airlock, but like I said, it gives space for sometimes when you have something like this and it's real vigorous in its fermentation, it'll overwhelm the airlock, and it'll blow the juice and stuff and the foam and everything into the airlock and then all over wherever you've got this sitting. This is a way to help avoid that mess. So the next thing we need to do is I'm going to put this in my my fermentation bathtub and in a couple of weeks we'll come back and transfer it to the secondary fermenter, and it'll be in the secondary fermenter for about another 2 weeks, and then we'll bottle it. And when we get to the part where we transfer it to the secondary, we will come back and do another video. So until then, this is Spec Ops 56 and John saying so long and see you next time.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.